Georgia Governor Brian Kemp is being ridiculed widely because just yesterday, after weeks of wall-to-wall media coverage of the coronavirus, he claimed he just learned that people without symptoms can still spread the virus. This led to the social media hashtag CDC is in Atlanta, trending today, the very agency that has been explaining the risks of the virus to the American people. The Centers for Disease Control is in Georgia. It's about a 20-minute drive from the governor's mansion. Here's the thing. We have known about asymptomatic transmission of the coronavirus for months. At a briefing on January 31st, 62 days ago, Dr. Anthony Fauci said, and I quote, "You know that in the beginning, we were not sure if there were asymptomatic infection, which would make it a much broader outbreak than what we are seeing. Now we know for sure that there are." On March 6th, Governor Kemp even toured CDC headquarters in Atlanta with President Trump and the director of the CDC. This is just one example of the just insane aversion to repeated scientific warnings by experts about precisely what we are encountering now. It has been missignal after missignal after missignal. And here are just a few. The Nation reports that 3 years ago, the Pentagon specifically warned the White House about the significant threat posed by a novel respiratory disease, which is exactly what coronavirus is. Yahoo News reports in 2018, the CDC warned the country was not ready to respond to a pandemic. And just 2 months ago, the U.S. Army projected between 80,000 and 150,000 Americans could die if the coronavirus got out of control. That's just 2 months ago. The U.S. Army, they knew what was going to happen. And now the White House is modeling that up to 240,000 people could die if we do everything right. So the U.S. Army's worst case scenario from just 2 months ago has become our best case scenario.